In my quest this year to watch one movie a day, it certainly allows me to catch up on some recent releases that I've missed and, of course, the newest stuff. But I thought it also might be fun to take a look once a week into a classic film that either I have never seen or have not seen in a very long time on a big anniversary. Well, this is the 40th anniversary of the very first Coen Brothers film, which I had never seen. Let's take a deep dive into Blood Simple. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to my movie review for Blood Simple. This is the very first ever Coen Brothers film. Of course, we know them, for many hits over the years. No Country for Old Men, an Oscar winner. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Big Lebowski, big fan favorites. Fargo, which also won some awards. But this is where it all began, Blood Simple. Now, it is technically listed as a 1984 film. That's when it was made and all of that. But it didn't hit theaters until the third week of January in 1985. So that makes this the 40th anniversary of course, the theatrical version, of Blood Simple. Yes, it certainly made its way into the festival circuit in 84. And in fact, one of its great accolades is that it did win the Grand Jury Prize for a dramatic film at Sundance. So obviously a huge hit out of the gate with the critics. And I guess I don't know if the audience votes on the Sundance. I guess it would, right? Grand Jury Prize, no, because they have an audience award too. So Grand Jury, I think, maybe is voted by committee. But in any event, this did not really make much of a dent in theaters upon release. But of course, in retrospect, has been seen as one of the great recent film noir films, and obviously a touchstone for getting the Coen Brothers through the door. So, look, before we go any further with this movie and my thoughts on it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews It subscribers already, thank you so much for that love when you return to check out one of my videos. But if you are not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell too so you get the alerts for all my video drops. I've also created a playlist that is on my homepage as well for these classic anniversary movie release videos. This is my third one for 2025. I did one for Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. That was the 35th anniversary. And then we had a 30th anniversary for Higher Learning, the John Singleton film. And I'd never seen any of these. So this one is the third in that list. But let's talk a little bit about the plot here. And I think we'll be real bare bones about that because this is a mystery. This is, in that, sort of classic Coen Brothers tradition of, what's going to happen and who's going to do what to whom. So I'm just going to read a very brief IMDb description that I think summarizes it well. The owner of a seedy, small-town Texas bar discovers that one of his employees is having an affair with his wife. A chaotic chain of misunderstandings, lies, and mischief ensues after he devises a plot to have them murdered. I think that is a succinct enough synopsis. But one of the fun things that I've been doing with these anniversary reviews is taking a little bit of a closer look at some of the making of the film and all of that, not just giving you the plot and reviewing it. So with that in mind, listen, it would have been really great to have this on the Criterion because this is part of their exclusive collection of Blu-rays and 4K. I think it's on 4K with them as well. But that has commentary and all of this stuff. I didn't get to do that. I watched it on Max, and you can do that as well. It is available on Max, or if you are a Criterion subscriber, it is on the Criterion channel as well. But so not only did this win the Grand Jury Prize for a dramatic film at Sundance, but at the very first Independent Spirit Awards, it won Best Director, tied with Martin Scorsese for After Hours, and Best Actor for Emmett Walsh. And there's only really a small handful of people in this movie. Emmett Walsh is certainly one of them. He plays the private detective here. And you know him. He actually just passed about a year ago. But he has done over, 200 movies and TV shows. So you've no doubt seen him in something. I don't know specifically what you may have seen him in. Recently, he was in Knives Out, the first one. So that's, something that maybe newer folks will recognize him from, but he's been doing stuff since, Midnight Cowboy and What's Up, Doc? And he's just been around. and he's one of the stars in this, but he's actually not the star. That would be John Getz, who plays Ray. And I don't really recognize him, to be honest, from too many things. He's definitely not done as much work as Emmett Walsh. He's been in a few things that I've seen over the years, movie wise, but more than anything, he's just got some like character roles on TV shows. Like he did 3 episodes of King of Queens, for example. He's done a bunch of the different NCIS shows. He did 2 episodes of Better Call Saul. So that's more of what he's known for. And more recently, he was in the Ted Danson film, or the Ted Danson TV show, A Man on the Inside on Netflix. He had a small role there. But Frances McDormand stars as Abby, the wife, and of course, we know her from just about every Coen Brothers movie. This is the first. This is where they met, and of course, she ended up marrying. Is it Joel that she's married to? I forget. But she's married to one of them. This I didn't know, though. Up until The Lady Killers in 2024, they actually did separate credits for the directing and the writing. So all Coen Brothers are co-produced, co-directed by Joel and Ethan, both. But up until 2004, the MPAA or whoever, I guess, had these rules that only one person could be a director, on the film, because they didn't want to have too many hands in the mix or whatever, in terms of like giving awards out, I guess. I don't think it had anything else to do than that. But so Ethan was credited as the only producer, and Joel was credited as the only director on all of their movies, even though they directed together up until The Lady Killers in 2024. I didn't realize that. So that was something new. But this was filmed in 1982, actually. So really, it's, goes back even further than 84 and 85. But it spent a year in post-production. And how they got this made, it was so interesting. So they wrote the screenplay, and then they mocked up a dummy trailer. The movie did not exist, but they were like, let's show potential distributors this little clip of what the movie could be. And so Bruce Campbell actually appeared in that clip. They were friends, I guess, with Sam Raimi, because it was his idea to do this. So they must have had some connection with Sam Raimi. Of course, Bruce Campbell started in Evil Dead by that point. And so the trailer just showed a man dragging a shovel alongside a car, which is stopped in the middle of the road. And then back towards another man that he was going to kill, and a shot of some gun holes in a wall, and just these simple shots, no pun intended, that sort of might entice people to try to get this movie made. And sure enough, they persuaded enough investors to help fund the full-length version. And so they raised, the accounts vary, but somewhere between $750,000 and $1.5 million, and that took a year to do. And then in terms of the casting, it was actually originally not going to be Frances McDormand. It was going to be Holly Hunter, and I'm not sure how they specifically knew her, because she, of course, ended up starring in Raising Arizona just a few years later for them, which was, I guess, their second movie. But she was doing a play in New York, and she couldn't really commit to this. So she said, hey, why don't you check out my roommate, Frances McDormand? She might be good for this role. And there you go. She made a marriage happen, and she made this wonderful, wonderful symmetry on the screen happen as well. So, all right, that's enough of the background. Let's get to the movie itself. I've already told you the plot. I've told you who stars in it. And really, there are not much more than that. Dan Hedaya, I did not mention as well. He plays Julian, who is, associated with this whole mess as well. But you definitely will know him if you're an avid TV watcher, because he played Nick Tortelli on Cheers. He was in, he was a recurring character. He was Carla's ex, but he was in probably 7 or 8 episodes of that. And that was, one of the most popular shows of all time. So you may have seen him in that. But he has some movie work as well that he's done. But let's talk about the plot here. This is maybe not the most intricate Coen Brothers plot, but honestly, a lot of the seeds of what would appear in future Coen Brothers dramas are here. Like No Country for Old Men, like Fargo, so some of their biggest films, even something a little more comedic like Burn After Reading, you could see seeds of this. And that is this mystery element of not knowing what's going to happen to really any character at any time. That, I think, starts here, because I definitely was on the edge of my seat. And look, it was filmed on a fairly low budget. If they got up to $1.5 million, that's not anything to sneeze at, obviously. But as a result, some of the the lighting is a little bit dark, and the sets are a little bit more basic. But it is a film noir, so obviously it's going to be, I guess, darker than your typical movie anyway. But definitely the character, plot, and the ace directing are all here already. It's fascinating that they had sort of all their ducks in a row already. And this is not as good, and it's certainly not as well developed plot wise as something like No Country for Old Men. But definitely the seeds are there. You've got these really, really interesting shots and camera angles. Early on in the film, there's this tracking shot where it's going over the bar, and there's this guy who's like passed out face down on the bar. The camera like glides over him and goes. It's such a unique and interesting shot. And I think this certainly was the time. Look, 70s was the era of filmmakers doing new things, interesting things that we've never seen before. And that continued, with this type of stuff, because these guys, the Coen Brothers, Quentin Tarantino, were inspired by the films of the 70s and are trying to put their own stamp on it. And I think they definitely did that here. The characters are maybe not super interesting unto themselves. I will say that. But the fact that you never know what's going to happen to any of them at any given time, and who's going to double cross who, and who's going to get shot at, and who's going to do the shooting, and who's going to find so and so. It all is very, very compelling and so watchable. So all of these seeds, like I say, are here. But even in I keep bringing up like No Country and Fargo, but even some of their more comedic movies, like The Big Lebowski, has some elements here of these characters that are compelling. That in that one, it's more like you don't know what they're going to say next, rather than who's going to get shot or whatever. But of course, in movies like that, a lot of that stuff happens too, like Burn After Reading. I mentioned that, is a very, dark comedy. And this is not comedic, but you could say maybe that it's a very, very, very dark comedy in some areas. And you could certainly say the same about Fargo and even No Country for Old Men in some parts. So it's interesting that they put their stamp on it this early, but this is also at the same time unlike a lot of their other movies, because as far as I know, it's the only film noir they've ever done. I guess you maybe could consider No Country for Old Men a noir as well. But so this is something unique as well. I don't want to say that they're just imitating themselves with these other movies. No, this definitely has its own unique flavor and unique presentation that a lot of their other movies don't. I was excited to see this because I've seen definitely a handful of their movies, not all of them. I've missed, the Hudsucker Proxy, and there's been some along the way that I've missed. But I've seen Barton Fink, and I've seen, a lot of their major releases, and certainly anything they've released since probably No Country, I think I've seen. For better or worse, I did not care for Hail Caesar. Ballad of Buster Scruggs was like, okay. Oh, this also, by the way, was their first collaboration, I should say, with Carter Burwell, who does the music here. The music is great. It's eerie when it needs to be, and it sort of moves the story along at other times. But they have worked with Carter on all but one of their films. And I looked up what one it wasn't, and I can't remember what it was. But all but one of their films and some of their solo work as well. They did The Tragedy at Macbeth, that one of the Coen Brothers did with Denzel Washington a few years ago. So, still working with them to this day. So, that collaboration here started here as well, in addition to their collab with Frances McDormand. So, all right. Well, I've talked enough about it, but I told you we were going to take a bit of a deep dive into this film. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and take a look at some of my other videos as well. And in the spirit of these anniversary videos coming up, I am going to have a $1 Million Baby on the way, and also American Gigolo with Richard Gere. I had never seen that until a couple of days ago, so that will be on the docket as well for a video. But I leave Blood Simple with an A minus, which is right in line for me with sort of their B tier movies. You have No Country for Old Men's like an A plus. That's for me sort of their crowning achievement. Fargo is probably in that A range. As is Barton Fink. That's maybe for me the high trio. But boy, they have a lot of good movies. Big Lebowski's probably in the A range as well, come to think of it. But this definitely, especially for a first, is super, super impressive, what they put together here. So again, you can check this out currently on Max, or if you have the Criterion subscription, you can check it out there as well. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.